This is Punch Drunk Philosophy.
Actually, fuck it, whilst I have you here, let's go into a bit of, because you mentioned fighter pay, we'll get into the rest of the fights on the card in a bit, but you got into fighter pay. Benson Henderson leaves the UFC, goes to Bellator, cites sponsorship opportunities as a major factor. It makes a lot of sense to me. I've been predicting that this is only the start. Apparently a lot of fighters have been getting in touch with Ben Henderson about advice and leaving to Bellator. There's a lot of discussion about it, and there's a lot of free agents on the market right now. The most prominent free agents, Aljamain Sterling, Alistair Overeem, Matt Mitrione. There are probably a few others, but yeah, these are the ones who we very likely could see in Bellator right now. Ben, what do you think about these three fighters specifically going to Bellator, and do you think this is going to be a trend that's going to continue?
Yes, I do. I think the problem's going to be, I think it's going to be a trend for fighters at the minute on the downside. The guys who don't ever quite make it to earn enough money with the UFC, but are getting grossly underpaid for the level they're at. The people that feel insulted by it because they should. And I think it's those people. Anyone who's been made champ or something, like when we were just talking about it now, I thought, just in the back of my head, I thought, maybe Hendricks will go to Bellator. He won't, because he's getting £100,000 base salary from the UFC. You look at Phil Davis. I mean, Phil Davis only got 65k for his against Carmont and stuff. It's just, I don't really. I think it will be happening, but it will be. I don't think you'll see as many names for now. I think the interesting thing will be is if Bellator get a stronger pay structure established, they can get some more prospects in. What they could do is Bellator potentially could develop a pipeline of guys so that I think in maybe, if they do keep going, which I think they will, I think Bellator will get much bigger. 3 to 5 years, I can see them having a whole ream of prospects. And especially if Viacom give them even more exposure, I mean, it could be crazy. So, yeah, I think it's more about getting the younger guys in at the minute, and then the guys who are kind of coming out of the UFC a bit. I don't think they're going to get any UFC studs who are kind of have good stock in their divisions in terms of what the fans want to see. Henderson, I mean, I find Henderson a bit plain. He's a great fighter. He's amazing, and you can watch him and just really appreciate it. But from a fan perspective, he doesn't offer anywhere near as much as a lot of other guys. So.
I don't know. I love me some Bendo. I think, Overeem I think is going to go. Simply because I think the title picture now, he's not going to get an immediate title shot. He has a very good relationship with Scott Coker. So that makes a lot of sense for him right now. And that's a guy coming off a big win in the UFC. And he's on a big win streak. So that's going to be a huge feather in Bellator's cap. But the real kind of change one on this, the game changer in this, is Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling is a very rising bantamweight. I think he's ranked 5th now. I'll just double check that.
I think the 5th sounds right to me.
Yeah, 5th. He's 5th. He's ranked 5th. He's undefeated, but he really doesn't feel he's getting what he deserves from the UFC. He was only able to fight once a year recently. He's not been getting the top opponents. He's not been getting the top paydays, and he doesn't have sponsorship opportunities. So, yeah, he's been teasing on his Facebook recently about possibly leaving for Bellator. So if they do acquire him, that will be huge. That will be a massive game changer, because they could very arguably have the number 1 bantamweight on the planet when there. I mean, Aljamain Sterling is rising. He's not tested against that sort of top 5 level. No. But he's very much getting there. So if he carries on to be a world beater in Bellator, then you can make a case for it. And he's got the star power, and he's got the big gym behind him. So that would be a huge feather in their cap. Another one I'm considering actually has a very good case to move to Bellator. Someone who's been screwed by the UFC very constantly and is arguably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet, Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar, he was denied his title shot against Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor moved to there. He's been waiting on a title shot for a very long time, despite beating the shit out of everybody in the division. He's clearly a very, very, very potent stylistic threat to Conor McGregor. But the UFC recently, they set up the lightweight title fight, and they were talking about giving Jose Aldo the rematch. They said, because Conor McGregor said, what's his name? Dana White. Sorry, they both make the same noise at me. Dana White said that Jose Aldo's next fight will be for the belt, implying that he's going to get the rematch as soon as Conor McGregor returns. I think they're going to do that. And Frankie should just give a big fuck you and go right over to Bellator, in my opinion. He'll be entirely justified in that. He will have so much fan support by him. What do you think of the prospect of... Because I don't know Frankie Edgar's specific contract situation, but I think it's a possibility. From the way it's been discussed, I think it's a real possibility. What do you think of the possibility of Frankie Edgar going to Bellator, Ben?
I don't see it. I don't know. I think he's one of these guys that wants to compete against the best in the world constantly.
But he's been denied that opportunity.
Yeah. Who would they fight? Who would he fight? That's the thing.
That is the thing. But the thing is, when they take a division, when they take some big star like that, he will have the Fedor effect. Because Fedor was he was the number one heavyweight on the planet for a very long time, outside of the UFC.
Pound for pound, even.
Yeah, exactly. So the guys in the UFC will say, well, that guy's the best in the division over there, and that's the bigger money fight, so I'm going to go. Because Andrei Arlovski and Tim Sylvia both left in that amazing career move that they both made. Mm-hmm. Let's go and leave the UFC and fight Fedor. So I think a lot of featherweights in the UFC will be tempted to do that, so we will have a couple of them throw over, and maybe, I don't know, some bantamweights move up. Maybe Frankie Edgar even moves down to bantamweight, fights Aljamain Sterling. I think he might need to do a big move like that simply because of the absolute disrespect he's been shown from the company. Because I love the UFC, but the way they've behaved in regards to this Reebok deal and the ignoring of the concerns of fighters, the very, very legitimate concerns of fighters, has been pretty appalling. Like, don't believe any of the bullshit of like, oh, you get paid what you're worth or anything like that. It's like, yeah, no. This is, some people get paid a lot for very unmeritocratic reasons, let's just say, and they don't get to decide what everybody else is worth. Fighters are worth a lot, and it's not just like your megastars that make the organization. It's everybody makes the organization. It's all the top 15, all the outside of the top 15, the prospects. Having that kind of quality on all the cards in all of the organization, in which you bring your stars up, in which you bring your contenders up, that's what makes an organization. And the absolute disrespect to the like Edwin Figueroas of the world is fucking appalling.
Yeah.
Did you see the Russian fighter who said he made a loss on those last UFC fights?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of fighters who are actually making losses. And guys who've been in the UFC, they have that little bit of star power, they have that little bit of name recognition, and when they announce, I'm leaving for Bellator, then they've got a storyline, they've got some controversy about them, they've got some fan interest in them. It's like, oh, this guy left Bellator. And obviously there's the Donald Cerrone thing. Donald Cerrone, he would be an interesting one if he took off and left. And I think it'd be entirely justified, because the shit Reebok pulled on him, like, fucking cunt.
Very funny. Yeah, they'll go. More will go. Be interesting. Cerrone would just be ultimate, wouldn't he? That'd be full bad boy. Like, yeah, fuck this.
That would be interesting. Did you see his like post about Nike and how great his Nike shoes are?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, apparently Jackson's camp, if you look down at a lot of them have just been posting lots of Nike stuff and how great. Look at me in my new Nike gear.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Yeah, it'll be it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I want to see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think Frankie might go. I just don't know. I think he's obviously going to want to fight the best guys. And I know who they could give him. Why don't they give him Eddie Alvarez? Oh wait, no. Because like, who are they going to give him? There were some good guys in there that had real names, but Frank Edgar, he's far too good to be fighting that competition. It'll just knock him down a peg. Everyone will be thinking, oh, Frankie Edgar's just lost it. And he's 34 now. He's going to be 35 this year.
Well, I don't think so. I think his stock is at his absolute highest because of the Chad Mendes. And if you look on Frankie Edgar's Facebook page, there are a lot of comments encouraging him to go to Bellator. That's what I think. As in, like, I think most people know that Frankie Edgar's getting really fucking screwed over. So I think most fans would greet the news of Frankie Edgar leaving for Bellator, because he could fight a lightweight as well. They have a fairly good lightweight division. They have Will Brooks, they have Michael Chandler, so he could get something going. And the featherweight division is okay in Bellator. I mean, it's not obviously the best in the world, but it's quite good. So he's got fights there. He's got fights. So, and they can pay him, which will be a major thing. The Reebok deal overall, I think it will go down as one of the worst corporate blunders in sports history, and the UFC's handling of it has been pretty atrocious. I love that unanimous across the board, fans hate this shit. We all hate the Reebok deal. We all know it's shit. Yet, so we can't believe the UFC's transformed since the Reebok deal. The candor that we used to get from Dana White, like, he used to have the scrums, you call at the post-fight press conference. He can't do that now. And yeah, he just seems a whole lot less honest as a head honcho. Do you think that as well, Ben?
100%. Yeah, he seems a bit twisted and kind of very, very ingenuine, two-faced. Interesting. He literally, the amount of things he's a hypocrite over. Or you could catch him saying one thing and then soundbite the exact opposite thing literally a month later. It's incredible. I've never seen it from someone. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, he's worse than Vince McMahon. He really is.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, because the kind of, if they greet the concerns of someone like Frankie Edgar, or someone like what was the other guy? It was Aljamain Sterling. If they greet those concerns with absolute contempt, then it's Vince McMahon-esque. It's like, because Vince McMahon ruined the WWE, ruined all of that because he was of just personal bullshit, personal ego, and just sort of trying to destroy people's careers in order to beat them into submission and obedience. So loyalty to the power structure as opposed to the vision behind the company. And the quality of the product, obviously. That's fucking bullshit. The Reebok deal has screwed over so many fighters. Reebok suck. Like, they are fucking terrible as a company. I hate the way they put out a pathetic, oh, well, these things happen. Like, it's just an error. It's like, well, these are constant errors. When you've got a shirt that says, like, what was it, Anderson Jose Aldo on it, how many people has that passed? How many people in the company working in your MMA division have seen that, approved it, taken that, printed it, put it on a model, photographed it, all the way to uploading it, and you didn't even check the fucking spelling, you didn't check the fucking name, you don't check that Lyoto Machida's nickname is right, you don't check Giblet Melendez, you don't check any of this fucking stuff? What the fuck, Reebok? It's just so funny. Constant systemic idiocy.
It's just so badly done. It's just such a blunder. I mean, I did this today. I had to phone someone, and I had to write someone's name down, and I double checked that I'd spelled their name right. And this is just me, just to some random person. And
it's
then
not hard.
Oh my gosh! And you've got all these people. And no one thought that it must have been a troll. I reckon someone on the inside at Reebok. How do you make that fuck up?
Flexibility.
Oh, flexibility.
Remember that at the press conference,
mate.
Flexibility.
The best kind of ability. It's ridiculous. No one needs that.
Yeah, just the Reebok deal's so bad, and the kits are so shit.
They're ridiculous. They're like what they look like. They look like primary school sports day kits. They're just running around, dressed up in bright colours. It's absolutely awful. And it was the weirdest kind of... It looked like a kind of scene from, like, Zoolander. If Zoolander was done as a horror movie, and you've got this, like, futuristic kind of like guys just walking down the runway with these stupid kits on, looking all glitzy, and then Posey doing some mean faces and then running out. It was so funny. And then you got McGregor, Team Ireland, like just comes in his green one, like, look at me. It's oh my God. So funny. It was honestly, it was awful. It was probably the campest possible way to do it. It was absolute hilarity. Oh, here's an interesting one for you. What about Sterling versus McDonald at bantamweight?
Sterling, McDonald at bantamweight. Yeah, I like that fight. But yeah, we'll obviously have to see if his contract issues are resolved. I think they will be in the next few days. In the next few days, I think this will be a real tell. Aljamain Sterling, if he signs and re-signs with the UFC and fights someone like that, then I guess there's more hope. If he leaves, then I think it's going to turn into an exodus. I think in every division we're going to see multiple top 15s jump ship. A lot of guys are choosing to fight out their contract. I'm really surprised Nate Diaz is still around. Like the Diaz brothers in general. How the fuck have they not gone to Bellator yet?
It's incredible, isn't it? They're the perfect two to do it as well. I think they must see. I think secretly they like the UFC. I think, to be honest, I think it's the press conferences. I think at Bellator they wouldn't get the same level of media obligations, so they're just like, yeah, whatever, we'll leave it.